Hello, thank you for being on time a little early. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. There probably be a few more people joining us, so if you don't mind waiting, that would be great. I have to kind of let them in one by one. I'll be back.
Hey Johan, hoor je me? Nee, hè?
Ja.
Hoe is het?
Goed. Ja.
Grappig om je hier te zien.
Ja, leuk.
Ja. Wat trok je hiervan aan? Wat trok je hier naartoe?
Gewoon een hele verhaal, eigenlijk.
Nee, maar niet persoonlijk wat meegemaakt.
Nog niet. Ik heb juist heel weinig gehad met Twin Flames of wat dan ook.
Oh, oké.
Ik heb juist het idee dat ik heel erg ben van afgesloten.
Oh, dat kan ook zoiets zijn natuurlijk.
Dat kan.
Nee, voelt niet zo. Misschien was het niet de bedoeling voor jou, dat kan ook.
En voor jou?
Ik heb ze allemaal meegemaakt. Van Twin Flame tot Twin Soul, Twin Ray, alles. de trekkers, de bullshitters. Maar dat praat ik al over een periode van 20, 30 jaar. Als je erover denkt, dat dacht ik meer. Ik heb het natuurlijk een beetje zelf allemaal meegemaakt. Dus ik weet het al een beetje.
Okay.
Maar ik dacht van, misschien heeft ze wat nieuws. Ik kan alleen maar een uurtje meedoen, want ik geef zelf zo'n webinar in een uur. Dus ik hoop dat het niet een lange webinar is.
Ik heb hetzelfde, maar ik ga dan geen webinar geven, maar ik ga dan met, ik weet niet of ik de naam goed uitspreek, Misamo, heb ik een keertje voor ingeschreven. Die video's maakt bij Consciousness Expansion Movement.
Ah, oké. Oké. Ja. Nou ja, ik denk, kijk, dat hele dark flowering natuurlijk heeft natuurlijk alles te maken met de flower of life. En dan komen we natuurlijk wat dieper en dan denken we van, ach, het is allemaal maar een spelletje. Uiteindelijk de hele bedrog ook, om het zo maar te zeggen. We moeten toch wat te doen hebben in het leven. Hè? Laten we zeggen, de purpose program, laten we het zo maar noemen. Ik sluit me even uit, kan de andere. Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you, Matt?
I'm great.
Yeah. In one point when now we're starting, and I think we probably mute ourselves now.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. I'm going to wait a few more minutes. I'm not someone who, I'm usually on time, so we're not going to wait for very long. And I do have a presentation prepared, but I am going to assume that you're all fairly familiar with KS work and KS practices, yeah? Because once everyone was here, I wanted to do the Christ Star invocation to begin with that, and then just begin with a kind of the settling of the energy.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind waiting a little bit more, I think it would be less fractious for us to do that. When we have more people gathered, we can do that together. Thank you.
Yes, and I have only 1 little hour, so I will I will disconnect at one point, so don't think it's boring or something.
I won't take it personally if anyone needs to leave, that's fine. This is being recorded, and there will be an opportunity to get the replay if you want to watch it. But I'm also, as I'm admitting people, asking that if you are aware of anyone who is struggling right now with the twin flame dynamic, there is just so much craziness there. If you know someone who might want to try to figure some new stuff out, be wonderful if you would pass the information along. Yeah, I think that's about it. We've got a couple more people who've popped in, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to give it to 5 minutes after and we're going. I just, we all have things to do, but thank you for coming.
Don't worry. It's nice we got the first 3 guys. It's guys, you know, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Well, that's
Instead of-
interesting. Yeah, you know,
Yeah, it's nice.
never know how these things are going to go. So I just kind of go with what's going on and try to stay present and plugged in. Good. Would you like to share with me where you're from? That would be fun while we wait for a few more people. Johan, where are you tuning in from?
Netherlands, nearby
Okay.
Amsterdam.
Okay, and is it Goash? Goash?
Yeah, something like this. I'm from Netherlands. I actually know Johan, but I'm now in Spain.
Okay,
I live in Spain.
live in Spain. And is it Matt? How do we pronounce your name? Matt?
It's math like the subject.
Matt. Matt, like the subject. All right, cool. Hi. Where are you tuning in from?
I'm outside of Chicago in a town called Wheaton, Illinois.
Oh, okay. So you're part of the United States dark flowering.
Guess so.
Yeah. Serious. It's gotten really serious. No joke. So, okay. All right, 2 more minutes and we're going. Anastasia, I see you there. I know you're available to ignite your camera and you can do that and say hi.
Hi, we're in and David's here. We're in Ashland, Oregon, and it's hard to see us, I guess.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Hi, David. How you doing?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah,
Okay.
we're good. Had some amazing time with friends last night around a fire, an outdoor fire. We're all properly distanced and just discussing what's going on. So that was really much needed and very much appreciated. Okay, we're gonna wait. I'm gonna start at 1:05. Presentation is ready to go. I'm gonna get that popped up, ready to share, so we don't have to wait on that. There. How's the weather in Ashland today?
Some
David?
beautiful rain right now. It just picked back up again, but it's been yesterday was beautiful and almost warm, and the day before that, and today it's pretty heavy rain. It's been really nice.
Nice. You guys need the rain. We always
We
want to make
do.
sure you're not going to start catching on fire again.
Our lakes have been empty for a couple months, so this is pretty exciting to get some
Good.
water flowing again.
And Matt, how's the weather in Wheaton? And how are you guys? Like, good?
It's gray and chilly, but it's good.
That's good. Billy's,
Actually,
we're
I
in
had a
what I,
sw-
yes.
oh, sorry. I
Go
actually
ahead.
had a swim in the ocean today, actually.
Ah, that sounds great.
It was
Awesome.
cold, but nice.
Cold?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, we're gonna go and I will, Anastasia, could you open the chat and keep an eye on if anything's going on? Usually when I start the share, if someone pops up, I get a flash on the screen and I'll do that, but we're gonna go. Everybody has other things to do. Okay, so I'm Anaiis Salles. I'm putting this presentation on through my kind of channel framework, which is Accelerated Conscious Evolution. Thank you again for taking the time to come here today. And let's see how we do here. New format for me. All right, so the first thing I want to share is the intention. And then we're going to do a Christ Star breath together. Those of us who are here to set the energy in the space, which is Rasha, Ira, Christ Star now. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Rasha, Ira, Christ Star now. Okay. I always invite my technology to cooperate with whatever we're about. So I'm going to just do that for a minute and thank them, thank the elementals for joining here. So the first thing that I would like to share with you is I'm actually quite, I wouldn't say that I'm nervous. I would say that I'm feeling like this is a really interesting topic, and I think that it's important. And what I've been through since 2017 and even before regarding the trackers has been really very, very dynamic and interesting and incredibly healing for me personally. And I think helpful to the people who are my clients and who study with me, because I've been sharing my process all along. So one of the things that the beloveds asked me to get clear in terms of intention from the start is that there's no shame, there's no blame, and there's no stigma attached with the dynamics of the Dark Flower Awakening, because as you already know, much of this it's multidimensional, it's goes on through lifetimes, and we're very fortunate right now to have the energies in place and the amazing advanced work that has been done so that we're able to address the genetic issues that we have. We're able to go into the processes that we need to transmute those energetics and then move forward from a place that is healing and healed and whole. And we are ready to take on our missions without obstruction. So I've got some people who are waiting to be admitted. Yeah, so let's see if I can do that from here. Excuse me a minute while I do this. Thank you. Okay, they should be joining us in a minute and I can exit that. So this is my intention. My experience has been that this dark flowering is something that could be specific to themes and indigo children. And the beloveds have helped me to see that right now we need everybody activated, all hands on deck, so that we can, all of us have various ascension missions that we need to accomplish. And I think it's important that we come together as a community to support each other in that in whatever way we can. This is one way that I can do that. Okay, so there's, my sense of why we might be here today. I'm going to start with the foundation that we're all somewhat familiar to varying degrees with Keylontic sciences, with the MCEO teachings and the transformation and the change into Anaiis productions. And because of this information and our familiarity, we may have at least heard one or more references to the dark flowering affliction. My perspective, the spoken references in various workshops, and that's where I sort of was led to get awareness about this, they have not been frank. they haven't been direct, they haven't been to the point, and all the dots haven't been connected with regard to how we manage this situation if we're in it. So from my perspective, the dark flowering at its core is a bio-spiritual, distorted sexual energy event. And it is everywhere. And we know, if we're familiar with the KS and the MCEO and all the rest of this, that there is at least consideration that there is a team dark scenario playing out. I don't need to go into a lot of detail around that because that's not my focus. So the euphemisms about distorted sexuality and phrases such as swarming, I don't believe are helpful, especially to KS newcomers. And I would like to say that it's been observational to me that dark flowering trackers are really everywhere, and many of them are actively trolling online, where the contacts begin as innocent flirtations, but then quickly escalate into energetic tagging, targeting, frequency attacks, and even sleep state torture. And I've been through all of those. I'm happy to say I'm completely out the other side. From my perspective, these aggressive, destructive behaviors are being directed at themes and also at indigo children whose light bodies have been activated, but there's much more to go before they're completely free of the various metatronic mutations that support and ignite and sustain plasma body activation. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from. So, I think we need all hands on deck. Then I would like to play for you a clip from Sliders 12, which is just going to be a review of what we may already know. And if you'll give me a second, I need to reorganize the share to do that. Tech stuff is always so much fun. I love it. It really just makes me so happy. Okay, let's go from here. And can I get out of here? Just a word. Ascension is not about grid work. Well, maybe I'll show the clip after we're done, because this isn't going to take very long. And if you're here, you're here. If you're not, you've probably already seen it. But it focuses on the twin dynamic, and it focuses on the fatally and the dark flowering. So in addition to what I'm aware of Ascension being about grid work, there were 10 years of grid work that happened all around the world. And while I was not a part of the KS community, I was doing my own thing, and I was traveling all around the world, leading retreats and workshops, and we did do grid work. And I was doing it based on the information that was coming directly through my direct line. And that was a very, very wonderful, for me also, about 10-year period of time. Okay, so let's look at the twin flame dynamic, which for me, the twin flame phenomena that I see happening on Facebook, I don't know how many groups that are focused on this phenomena. Again, this is my perspective, that those groups and the dynamic are part of the fatally construct. It's a perfect social holographic construct and frequency insert to advance the dark flower affliction. It's a perfect opportunity for a tracker to show up in your life, masquerading as a twin flame. The experience is that there are intense sexual desire triggers. That's an encryption package, which will hit a light worker or a healer or someone who has just come into activation of their light body, which makes them very visible to these trackers. And the twin flame then targets the second and third and some of the first chakras of the ones that they are going to go after. So when this happens, this generates a huge reverse spin energy anchor, and that actually manifests as an electrical metatronic etheric double, which then entwines not only in the trackers, it's already entwined in the tracker, and it's already intertwined with their first and secondary neurocircuitry. But then it goes after that happens also with first, second, third, and this is something that I found specifically not discussed in the MCEO information or in the, let's say, the elemental clearing rooms. There's no conversation about where the spleen chakra is implicated in this process, and it is. So we also know that the secondary neurocircuitry in this dynamic will be overtaken. The tracker has already been largely overtaken. There, you know that the goal is the complete overtaking of that energy field soul person. And also in this dynamic, the target begins to lose control of their own energy field. And so if they've activated their light body, this becomes incredibly confusing because the distortion begins to create what the Fatali's big agenda is about, which is fear, doubt, mistrust, and separation. So when this happens in the target, many times people who had a direct line and who were really, really clearly connected with their guidance and it was trustworthy find that that's no longer the case. And then the other part that I think is really interesting, which I think is very much core to the, let's call it the distorted twin flame dynamic, is that there won't be a heart energy connection. There will be lots of sexual energy, there will be lots of talk, but the actual feeling of the energetic connection, which is so distinct and so discernible, will be absent in terms of what you feel coming from the tracker. Although he or she, we can be talking about women here, of course, as trackers, may use the words, oh, I feel so much love for you, or, you know, there's a whole encryption package that goes with that language. And the difficulty is that a lot of times the light workers and the healers are so open, and they very often tend to be empaths. They can't distinguish their heart chakra energy from another person's heart chakra energy. So they are, you know, they're sending out their energy, they're feeding a tracker with their energy, but they can't feel the distinction to recognize that their tracker, isn't sending them a return frequency vis-a-vis the heart connection. What's the game? It's all about quanta. How much quanta can be grabbed from an ignited light worker or healer who is just not aware of these other dynamics. And if they are successfully tagged by a tracker, they're not going to become aware of these dynamics. They're going to find themselves spinning and looping. Their relationship to time is going to be distorted. They're not going to be on the timeline, on the Christic spiral that's moving them forward. So this is a very complicated dynamic, but ultimately we know it's about how much quanta who's going to have how much quanta as the reality the realities are going to continue to unblend, and we're all moving forward the way we're going, and it's getting closer. We're coming into 2021 now. So when I look at the larger Fatali agenda, what happens with the dark flowering, what is accomplished? And as I said, in the United States, we are looking at dark flowering is really in major takeover mode in our society on every level, D1, D2, D3. The dark flowering accomplishes separation at all levels of human interaction, and this is done by any means necessary without conscience or any sense of regret. It's all about power. There's lust over love, so you end up with a hot sex connection over a hot connection. And there are many people, light workers, lots of them, you know, there's all different age groups, but people are in the paradigm, in the programming. There is this little programming that the hot sex will lead to a heart connection, and it will lead to someone actually loving you. And that's rare. The heart connection should be what leads into the hot sex. But this is, again, it's a reverse program. The goal is to disable, derail, disrupt light workers, healers, and angelic themes through what I call the seduce and destroy program. And that takes a light worker into a toxic relationship. The goal of this is to really blow up the energy field, to blow up distinct apparatus within the energy field, within the first, second, and third chakras. And this will happen when people have, not only they have not gotten to the point where they're released themselves from the Vesica Pisces harness. So this form of separation, when it hits a family, a group of friends, or a spiritual group, is going to generate separation. And the other tricky bit about this affliction is not everyone gets it. Not everyone is afflicted. And that is key to the agenda of separation, because you can begin to point fingers. You can say, well, this person's got it, but I don't. Or you can begin to deny that it is existing or happening at all. Or you can say, well, there must be something about them that this is what's going on for them. So we can unpack that. I'm not going to take time to do that today. I'm really looking at the broad strokes. Then again, we go into the physical separation aspect of the twin flame dynamic, which is the agenda is to obstruct Christic frequency resonance and to implement, augment mind control frequencies being absorbed into now vulnerable and distorted energy fields. And that's why in the twin flame distorted dynamic, the story is all about union. It's all about how you're going to come into union, but you never get there. Years, I've watched this. People have spent years on this. They've waited for someone, this one, that. I mean, it's really, I actually get a lot of information watching tarot card readings, especially the ones that are focused around twin flame. It is so painful to recognize thousands, we are talking thousands of well-intentioned people who are in physical separation. They are interacting with an a kind of a metatronic electrical etheric double that will come into them still via the astral plane, and they are having, quote, relationships there. And again, it's divided, because some of that can actually be something that can happen with an authentic twin Tantra Asia twin contract. But how do you tell the difference? So where we end up is that the ascension hosting process through this Beta Ali agenda is being obstructed. And that leads to quanta issues, which lead to, will the ascension gates become unstable? This includes our own personal gates. We have ascension gates within us, as you people already know. Okay, so here it is. Here's the dark flowering goal. It is to access at the light body stage, implement, seduce, and destroy, disable the themes so that there's not enough plasma to keep the personal gates open, or all the groundwork that's been done, and it will keep a theme, an indigo person who's coded for plasma. It can actually abort their ability to activate the plasma body and then use those frequencies. That's a serious problem where we are right now. So, you know, it's easy to get tagged. This is just a little thing. This is out at a social event, and this is, I'm just saying, here's a person carrying a lot of light.
Annie,
What?
we're not seeing your screen share.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that possible? Hang on. Thanks. It's always something. Alrighty. Me. This is screen share. I've got all the things clicked, so we'll go back. We'll see how it goes. Hi, Michelle. I'm going to go back to presentation mode and we'll see if this is going to work. When did it stop being able to see it? Did it just stop at what point? Anastasia, if you can hear me. Hello?
Okay, sorry, when you put up that big screen, now we can see your screen, but it's not the right screen. And it stopped when you admitted other people.
Okay, so, all right, so you missed quite a bit then. Yeah, the admitting late people is something that's not one of my favorite things to have to deal with. All right, so I'm gonna just go back to present and hope that this works. And welcome to new people. I'm sorry you were late.
Here.
Can you see this now, Anastasia?
Yes, it's good now. You got it.
Okay, so we've recorded and I'm actually not going to go back because there will be a replay available. So for me, well, I will go back just this one slide. So here's let's say this is Johnny Theme right here. And before COVID, he was out hanging out and being social and doing what he was doing. His light body is activated, and this can be seen by a fatally tracker. And this is Johnny, light body worker, about to be tagged from someone in this group. Okay, so this is the basic dynamic of what happens. You have a tracker who has already been tagged probably several lifetimes ago, who is now, unbeknownst to them, it could be they're not conscious of it. They have entered the domain of a fatally dark overlord, and they're going after shine, and here's the target, and here's the tracker, and it's really just all about quanta. That's what it looks like. All right, so what do? One of the things that I think we need to do is we need to really see the patterns in our relationships. We need to do the work that is provided by the beloveds in all of the teachings, because our genetics are different. And this was something that was interesting to me in the Facebook conversation. People would say, oh, well, the elemental clearing rooms takes care of all of that. Not true. It might take care of all of it depending on your DNA, depending on how much Shona light you're carrying, how much Shalaya light you're carrying. We're not the same. So I really wanted to do this, go into this conversation, because I think there are some broad assumptions that aren't necessarily ones we shouldn't question. So we're looking at our relationship patterns. We're going to heal the genetics. We're going to do the work that we need to do that as individuals. Hopefully we do it in collective. In the small group of people who I'm associated with in our soul group, we tend to do this together, which has been very powerful and helpful for us. And then we need to understand that we're activating DNA codes, but it's different for everybody. And I want to emphasize that. Okay. So again, I think at this time, we need to be willing to sit quietly and just be open to considering that the dark flower affliction is something that may be going on with us, and that we need to be willing to consider our willingness to heal this for ourselves, for our twin, if we know that we're aware that we have a twin, and for others in the broader human collective. And what I have learned from the beloveds is that they know there's no shame or no blame here. And when we can settle ourselves in that place of no shame and no blame, I think that the opportunity to move forward progresses very quickly. Between 2017 and this past summer, I had 4 trackers come after me. And the space that I held while that was going on was just absolutely being completely awake and aware and noticing everything and questioning where, because I have a direct line, where I was like, well, you know, what's that really all about? But at no time did I get into an antagonistic energy with the trackers, because that's counterproductive. As you all know, that just feeds them more of your life force. So if you don't take away anything else from this today, just hang on to that. The methodologies are different, but it's all about a tracker. In my instances, they've all been men, and we have a lot of guys here today. And maybe in your instances, you know, could be a woman, could be non-binary. This isn't about gender. What it's about is, what piece of self-love are you missing? Because the trackers can read your energy fields, and they can read your encryption, and they can know what you're missing. And then they can pretend to offer it to you. And that's one of the big hooks. So if you don't take anything else away from today, you can take that away. Okay, so what's the healing process? So my personal healing process, it's been 7 trackers over the course of my life. Between 2017 and, like, you know, almost the end of September, this has been nonstop daily inner work for me. And it includes my work as a guide and as a teacher. This has been nonstop. And there's a D that's missing, but Sliders 5 describes the misalignment of the light body and the spirit body because of the Vesica Pisces harness. Correcting this misalignment and the reorientation of the Anaiis body is essential to healing the dark flowering disruption, which interferes with the organic maturation of the light body into lotus anatomy and plasma body. So if you're interested, you have access to it. You can probably get that through Chris Comstock. Just take a look at Sliders 5 and really pay attention. In my own experience, the 4 black hearts of Metatron had to be removed before the realignment of my light body and spirit body was possible. And that also included all the preliminary shadow work to build up enough quantum so that when the moment came and I could actually see where my light body was misaligned on the etheric level, I could just go and grab it and boom, put it exactly where it needed to be, removing that 15-degree offset to the left, which is a problem. So, you know, a theme's desire to incorporate various plasma body activations can be thwarted by unrecognized interactions with dark flower trackers, disruptions in the, other misspelling, I gotta fix this. I was in such, the chakra, that should be chakra energy field. And hopefully you guys are not working with this 7 chakra energy field anymore. And then there are all the things that can happen, which include failure or something going awry with the Christ Star awakening or the release of the Vesica Pisces harness, which will then impede the plasma body activation. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say from this slide. I think that's good. So my story, I've already told you a little bit about it, but I have full soul memory. I know where I came from. I know why I'm here. My whole crystal memory matrix has activated, and there are people who are working with me who would be able to validate for you if you wanted to ask them. And so from 1989 on, I have been gradually working on accreting frequency and clearing mutations that were part of my birth body, because I walked in 1989, and you're familiar with that process. You know how that works. Say, hey, Ashiana, walk in. So there are interesting things that happen with that kind of way of incarnating twice, as it were. And in reviewing my own soul history, the first profound memory of being dark flowered was a lifetime where I was a slave in a household, and my job was to bake bread, and that's all that I did. And the master of this particular household, of course, I was available to any male guest, or I guess female, I didn't remember anything with women, but male guests who could use me sexually any way that they liked. And as a result of that lifetime, I gave birth to a child by rape. For me, it was rape. It wasn't consensual. And then in the course of that lifetime, I had no interest in that child because it was a child of rape. And I neglected that child. I didn't take care of that child. And before that child was 2 years old, it died in an accident that was a result of my being an unconscious cow who didn't care, who had, my heart wasn't open. I was pretty clueless in that incarnation. And that awakened me to an incredibly profound part of my being at a soul level, through loss, through tragedy, through death. And in that instance, it ignited a profound transformation in my whole organization of, we know we have thousands of incarnations all operating simultaneously. That was one particular one that was very powerful for me, because the rapist for me in that lifetime was someone who became a tracker who followed me through subsequent incarnations. And I have another memory where the person who was my biological father in this lifetime, also a tracker, an active tracker. I watched him operate socially. He was married to my mother they were married over 50 years. He was still a tracker. He was still going out and dark flowering people. Yeah, so in our relationship, that was challenging, because one of the memories that I had with him was one in which I was a young girl, and I was placed in a pen in the middle of a stadium, and this man, who was again my father in that lifetime, just told me to wait quietly in the pen, and he would, he'd come and get me later. And I was very young, so I didn't question any of this. And I didn't question any of it until the lions started breaking the pen apart and started tearing. And that was a relationship, again, a fatally representation of this incredible destruction of breaking bonds, heartbreaking bonds of trust. So, this lifetime hasn't been that, it's been so much better. I'm really grateful. But I do, because of these experiences, I can read a room, I can identify a tracker, and I am able to do what needs to be done, that I remain clear, coherent, safe, frequency aligned in my direct connection, and I'm able to successfully, in a way, turn a tracker and move them into a heart connection, which then really makes it much harder for them to remain. It also enables them to move into hosting, because one of the things that's talked about in Sliders 12 is we're going to bring our themes home kicking and screaming, but there's no conversation about how that exactly happens. So I have more details about that, which I could share with you at another time. Okay, I think we're about done here. Let me just see what else I've got. This is me. That's my little crystal seed atom, trying to figure out what the heck is going on as I'm, in the great creative ocean, about to do some more manifesting and creating more bodies. And then this is me with my monadic twin this just represents the mess that happens, and the difficulty in connecting lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and then hoping that in an ascension cycle you're going to figure it out this time maybe. And I wanted you to be really aware. I know that in the MCEO teachings and in the elemental clearing rooms, there's lots of information. There's a lot of, and even in the Chismatic series, which gets a little bit closer, but still it's still missing information. So this affects the solar plexus, the second chakra, the root chakra, but nobody's talking about the spleen chakra. And I have a lot of additional information that I will be sharing, in my own environment. And then if anybody on Facebook is interested, we can figure out how to do that. But then you get on the rainbow bridge, and then you get aligned with your Christ star, and then you and your twin and your monadic seed atom, everybody's kind of getting happy. It's looking good. And So this is just my synopsis of why I'm here, because I was guided, I was led. I had no interest in ascension whatsoever, at all, none. And then after my first experience with the Gaia just telling me that she was going to divide in 2016 and there were going to be other timelines, because I moved fluidly, multidimensionally and through time and space. And I was invited to, do you want to be part of that? I was like, sure, well, yeah, absolutely. And it was at that point I was given some other techniques, one of which is the Sacred Master Key, which was me beginning to work with making small co-creative Merkabas and understanding about the counter-rotating spins. Then in 2017, the really kind of weird, it's always about past life stuff with these trackers. Connecting with another tracker and being aware of what that past life story was all about, and then being able to navigate that. So from 2016 on, I was inundated with additional multidimensional skills and memory, and these biospiritual interfaces built trust regarding the KS information, for which I am very, very grateful. So during a 5-week grid work retreat in Scotland in 2017, that's when my 7 chakra energy field dissolved on its own accord, along with the Vesica Pisces harness, and I fully opened, and my bliss channel opened up, and flowering opened. That was wonderful. And my traveling companions and I were properly introduced to the elementals, who taught us how to call them in and work with them to co-create. And then once we returned to the United States from that journey, we established our own home portals to practice holding grid energy, holding gates, holding the energy that we need to be able to do that as a personal manifestation. And so my own portal is very well established where I live, and it's part of a crystal grid in my garden. And it's been full game on nonstop energy for me. And I was already a healer. I've been a healer for, I don't know, more than 20 years before any of this happened for me. And I was very familiar doing my own work on a parallel track. I would say I was very much on a beloved parallel track to what was going on with MCEO, which is why I didn't need to see it before I needed to see it in 2018, which was when I was introduced to it. Okay, so, I'm using this lovely little image to kind of be a kind of an organic shape of an akasha. And here are, part of Kai, part of K, there we go. We got those little elements of foundational creation. And this for me just is a kind of a little bit of a rendering of what happens when we open the Christ star energy and we open into our plasma energy flows. For me, it kind of feels like this, although the feeling of the plasma is more like, it's kind of like Jello, like transparent Jello, but not quite as thick and gooey. Okay, so my journey began in 1989 with my awakening, and then from that time on, the beloveds have been with me, and they have invited me to apply all that I'm learning since 2018 with the KS MCEO information. They have invited and asked me to apply it to my already well-established path of accelerated conscious evolution that has been going on for more than 2 decades. So now I'm going to stop sharing. We can open it up for discussion and Q&A if any of you are still here and you're interested. Okay. So feel free, unmute yourself. I don't know if anybody has a question or an observation. At this point, I would not necessarily, unless you're really comfortable with running your own frequencies, get too deep into your own personal experience, because we need to be very careful about that. But if you have something that you feel you can comfortably share, that would be nice. Crickets. Okay.
I'm still working on it here, so
Well, I don't have any experience with twins or whatever. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about that.
I think that's a matter of your soul's evolution. And at this time, depends on on where you are with your soul's evolution and your genetics as we're winding through this ascension cycle. Maybe that isn't something that you need to bring forward for you, and that you will be doing many, many other things, and you never know when it might become valuable at a soul level for your soul to move you into that kind of a dynamic. Do you feel bad about it? Do you feel like you're missing something, or you feel like,
No, I don't feel bad about it. No, not at all.
that's perfect? Okay, right. It's a very interesting topic, but if you're feeling like you're good, then you're good. Okay, that would be my immediate assessment of that. So thank you for sharing that, Johan. I appreciate it. Okay, so let me ask a question. Do you guys feel that this information made any sense to you? Was it valuable in any way? Was it helpful? Okay, thanks.
I feel like it's really helpful, really helpful.
Would you like to say why?
Well, because it specifically lines out, the steps I need to take in terms of where I'm focused and what I'm working on, doing the inner work, and just watching you. I have a sort of an idea of what could happen, what to expect possibly. But it also helps me clear away the whole, dark tracker or dark flower tracker. That's not easy.
It's not easy. It's really not easy. I've been working on this, as you know, Anastasia, every day for 3 years.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Using every resource available from anywhere.
Absolutely.
Get an understanding about this. It's been really intense.
Yeah, and the thing that's been the most amazing to me is to watch you do that, and you share your process. But what happens is I hear you sharing what's actually going on for you. Then it gets validated through the KS material.
Yeah.
You find it, and it has never felt to be the case. It's always spot on. So
that's been fun. It's always surprising, but it's been really wonderful fun, and it's helped me feel safer and insecure in all the process. Thank you. Okay, Matt, you're looking like maybe you want to share something?
Yeah, I'm pretty new to the KS teachings, so I was just coming into this just wanting to know more about what dark flowering is, and just like how it happens and everything. So that was helpful for me. And yeah, and similar to Johan, I was just curious about the whole twin thing, and I also don't feel bad about not knowing if that's part of my path or.
Honestly, I'm so glad that you guys are here and that you're bringing this perspective, because for me, it's almost it's an observation that I can think we may have evolved beyond this problem, that some of you are coming in with genetics, depending on when you were born in the timelines of all of this, that this may not be something that you have to deal with, because there's been that much work done. And if that's the case, oh my goodness, I think that's possible. I'm finding that I'm in a place now more and more of neutrality. I do have someone who may or may not be part of my timeline in that twin way, but I've also come into a place where I'm not, great. If it happens, that might be good. If it doesn't happen, that might be better. So the jury's out for me, but it's been a fascinating situation. So thank you for being here, because I think it's really important for the younger people in KS to really feel out what particular information is really most important for you, for your own activation of your DNA and all the things that you need to work on. And they're going to be very different for everybody. I'm so glad you're here. It's great. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Oh, us old folks, Jesus, right? Oh my God, what we've had to figure out with the no manual for the human being scenario. It's really interesting. Michelle, did you have something you want to share with us? You're in the thick of it. You're doing great. We can't hear you, love. You'd have to unmute.
Yes, you are correct. I am in the midst of it. So a lot of the slider 5, as you said, that's definitely something that I have been working on and still need to focus more on. But I do feel like I'm gaining ground again. And well, without going into it too much, I mean, yeah, a lot of work for sure. But I do find, like I said, I'm gaining ground again, and I'm finding the place of neutrality. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really intense. It's incredibly personal, and it can be personal in the most challenging ways, because the dynamic is meant to highlight that little part of you that isn't 100% yet completely in total wholeness and self-love. That's the point.
Yeah.
That is the point, is that coming into that experience, that all of that is already within you. And that's a lot to grow into, no matter what your experience is, because there's no support for that, or there's very seldom support for that on planet Earth. This version of planet Earth, anyway. So it's really challenging to come into that place where you really can relax and rest, and all of your effort and your willingness to be part of the human collective that's ascending shows up as more and more self-love for you. That's amazing. So I hope you're having some of that going on in little fits and starts. It comes and goes, and that seems to be part of the process. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're almost at 2 o'clock. I know there are a number of other people who are still with us, and people, I wanted to try to keep this really brief, but have it be focused information. And I had a wonderful conversation with Noel Tobin. I don't know if you guys are aware of him in the mix of KS, but he's been involved from almost the very beginning, and all the things that have transpired over the course of many years. And this is such an amazing community. And this is really, the beloveds have expressed to me an opportunity for appreciating the community in all its diversity, especially its genetic diversity, because we've all got different encryption and we've got to work it out. Yeah? Okay, so we may be done here. I want to thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. There will be, you're so welcome. I will put a replay into the KS communities. And if you know people who might want to hear this again, I'm already arranging to do another live webinar for folks in South America, Asia, Australia. So if you know of people on other timelines, and then of course you can connect with me through my my website, and I'll send you another little thank you email with all of that in case that something is of interest to you. Okay, so that's great. Not too bad with the technical. It was a little dicey, but not terrible. It's always something. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take good care. Be safe.
Thanks, Anaiis.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.